For information as the desperate search for a missing Sumner County boy intensifies. Unfortunately, there is still no sign of 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers, despite exhaustive efforts. We've been covering this massive search since February 26th, when Sebastian was last seen at his home in Hendersonville.
Live, and Tory officials now say they're still treating this as if Sebastian just got up and walked away from his house.
At this time, I'm going to ask that you fasten your seatbelts.
Hi everyone, welcome back to J is for Justice. My name is Jay, I am your host. Welcome to tonight's premiere. I put together this video based on clips, especially recent clips that have come out from Seth Rogers about his son Sebastian, and other clips from Katie, not too many from Katie really though, but to put together a story, somewhat of a timeline of Sebastian's life. If you've watched my videos on this case, you know that I've said from the beginning, I would love to know from the day Sebastian was born, what his life was like. And we got a little glimpse of that thanks to Jennifer Coffindaffer for hosting Seth on her show yesterday. I felt like she asked some really good questions to kind of bring out some of the past of Sebastian. I hope you enjoyed tonight's video. I do spin a little humor into it because you know me, gotta be a jackass, but that's why you love me. I hope. So enjoy the video, guys. I'll see you in the chat.
Married the day after my birthday. We got married June 21st, 2008. It was a very hot summer day. I remember our vehicle didn't have air conditioning. I didn't get to spend the night at my house, so I was over sleeping on a couch at a friend's house because you can't be in the house with the bride the night before the wedding. I know, take her. So yeah, and literally the stress of it all. I actually had a migraine the whole night, so it's not like I got to do anything fun or exciting. I was sitting there like, I need water, I need ibuprofen, and I need my head smashed in with a hammer.
What did you wear? Traditional tuxedo, or was it a cowboy wedding? What did you wear?
I wore it was a tuxedo. Well, no, it was a suit, brown suit. She was in a dress, beautiful dress. She was beautiful. I mean, I still remember some of the comments that she made that she was like, you've never.
Big breath. Let's move on, Jen.
Okay. So that this night occurs, this is, you love her, she loves you.
So we go through, we end up getting married, walk down the aisle. My dad actually is the one that walked her down the aisle. Afterwards, we had a little country boil at the back of my parents' house. Sat there. There are pictures in my wedding album that I still have where I am walking around with a huge bottle of champagne. And that's what I was drinking on all night while other people were drinking beer. I'm carrying a bottle of champagne around. And my mom and dad got us a hotel room and everything. And we got there. There was some expensive cheese and grapes and stuff like that. And she started watching TV. And I was like, I'm drunk. I'm going to bed. And I don't think she ever really forgave me for it or let me forget it either. But, that was years ago. I mean, and it was shortly after that my family got bigger.
Tell me about that moment, the moment when Katie told you, we going to have a baby?
She told me, and she told me pretty much on my mom's birthday, on April 15th. She was like, "Hey, I'm pregnant." I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a horrible dad." I mean, just it's something I've never been part of, so it's just like here's another challenge in my life, and I'm probably gonna fail at it miserably. So I
And
let
so-
my mom know
Sorry.
you're gonna have another grandchild, and from there it came along. December came around, and my son didn't want to come out. My son was, I want to say, 5 days late. He literally held on so that he could be born on my dad's birthday.
He was born in Georgia. We moved to Kansas while his mother was at Great Mistakes. And then she got stationed in San Diego. And so we drove to San Diego. And then she would leave on a deployment or a half a deployment, a third of a deployment. And we would leave the house. We'd pack everything that we were going to need into the car. And we would drive. We'd go see family. He has been coast to coast probably 6 times.
So it not only was that, but it was also Pearl Harbor Day. And it was just, I remember him coming, being in the hospital, dealing with all the complications, because it was a complicated pregnancy for her. She had a lot of difficulties. Midwife wasn't that best, so.
How was the pregnancy difficult?
It was her first pregnancy that went all the way. She probably doesn't want me discussing certain things, but woman things that it's I do remember at one point in time she was like, "I'm going to have a natural birth," and after having contractions for days on end, and the nurse going, "Well, you're not ready to deliver the baby," and it's like my mom having to sit there and be like, "These are not Braxton Hicks, these are actual contractions, and she's been having them for days." And finally they turned around and gave her something so she would dilate, because she was not dilating, and then the epidural. So there was that, and then my son was here.
And were you in the room when he was born?
I sure was.
That's great. And what was it like when you first held him? How much did he weigh? Was he teeny?
He's still tiny to me. I mean, it was the weight, the physical weight compared to the weight that was now on my shoulders as being a dad. Two different things. Now I'm responsible for another life. I need to make sure that this life grows up and that he's taken care of. I do remember them taking him away, and it was like, "Where are you taking my kid?" Well, we got to go clean him up and everything, and and as soon as they got him all cleaned up and they went to go put his diaper on and everything, he peed all over the nurse. I was just like, "Okay, he's mine." One of the first things he did when he came out is, I have a half smile that when I smirk at people, and it's the first thing he did when he came out. He just looked at me and just smirked, and I'm like, "Yep, chip off the old block there."
Do you remember the first words he spoke?
I remember the first word he spoke. Yeah.
What was it?
Not a word that should be issued.
Oh, he said a cuss word?
Of course.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. All right.
Second word was dad. Third word was bottle. But you know,
That's funny. What about walking? Was he a quick walker, or
he was a quick crawler. He crawled everywhere. He was delayed in the walking. A lot of the pictures I have when he was an infant, most infants sleep for 16 to 18 hours a day. Not Sebastian. Sebastian was awake for 16 to 18 plus hours a day. Like when he fell asleep, it's because he ran out of energy. Like the batteries died as he was crawling across the floor. That was the first thing that led me to think that maybe something was special about my son. So that started the trips into the hospital. For the first 6 to 8 months of his life, we were in and out of the hospitals all the time. He was sick. Couldn't do much to keep him not from being sick. But after about 8 months, he stopped being sick. His immune system finally took over, and hardy little boy.
so basically you're talking just colds and coughs and just could never feel like he was healthy?
The flu, pneumonia, and if he got sick, I ended up getting sick. I mean, had to wait for certain things to take over, and so he started walking, and I want to say that he was like 2.5. He started walking before we left Georgia and headed to California. He was definitely walking beforehand. Once he started walking, it wasn't really walking. He ran. I mean, he ran. I mean, the worst thing in the world is my buddy was at the house watching him while I was at work, and I got the text message that he took his first steps. I was heated. I was like, I missed the best part of, the first thing. I wanted to be there when he took his first steps when I was at work. So it sucks. But as soon as I got home, he was running by then, and he's never really stopped. He's a kid in motion, and I hope he's still in motion now.
And he's never done anything like that before, right? Just kind of walked out of the house.
He's not a runner. This is not normal for him to run away. He's not a runner.
And so at this time, Seth, you're working full-time and Katie's a full-time homemaker?
No, I was going to school full-time. I was working full-time and taking care of Sebastian. And Katie was working full-time.
Ah, okay. So you guys just tried to swap your hours out so somebody was with him, or he had nannies, or no?
No, he, without getting into too many issues, we oscillated shifts. When I was going to school full-time and working full-time, I was trying to also have somebody that, a babysitter that would come and take care of him. And that was a lovely lady that lived right down the road. She loved Sebastian. So she was watching him for a little bit until things just wasn't working out anymore with her circumstances. And then Katie turned around and joined the Navy. And when she joined the Navy, I went to being pretty much stay at home because I didn't have anybody else to watch Sebastian. And we were noticing that he was having difficulty speaking, delay in speech, gross motor skills, fine motor skills. There was a lot of stuff that things had to be changed. We kind of knew he was special. He wasn't going to be a normal child. So things had to change. Yeah. Being a parent for the first time, you really don't know what to expect. And then when you find out that your child needs certain things You just got to do it. You know, you make sacrifices. And she joined the Navy to make sure that he had insurance and stuff like that that would cover the issues. And I became a stay-at-home parent. His sleep improved once his health improved, but boy, don't sleep 8 hours a day. You know, he could be awake for 14, 16 hours a day and be like, there's times that he's come over here for like a week on like spring break or whatnot. And he's like, Dad, I'm not tired. And I'm like, well, you don't have school tomorrow. If you want to stay up and watch TV and play toys and all that sort of stuff, have at it. But just remember, tomorrow we got stuff to do, and you're going to have to get up and do it. Yeah, the next day he realizes why he should go to sleep. Day late, dollar short. He started, well, we were in Georgia when he was supposed to start, and they were giving us too many issues. So Katie was in Chicago at boot camp, and I actually moved back home, and I got him enrolled in school for half the day, and I had him enrolled in an educational center for another half. And we weren't there very long, but it was enough that everything that I've been working with him on between the school and the educational center, that everything just kind of meshed in, and it was great. And then we moved to California, and needless to say, their education system is not that great in California. For the first year, where his date of birth was, they wouldn't let him join to go to school. And then when they did finally let him go, the first year, when I looked back on it like a year later at all of his art projects, they were the letter S. Quite literally, they took a year to teach my son, quote unquote, the letter S. My son knew the alphabet. He knew, we were working. The time that he spent going to school and going to the educational center, it meshed. It got everything going. They used animal therapy and everything else to get him comfortable in what he was doing, and it worked. And then when we moved to California, they just don't really have a good understanding of children learn faster when they're younger than when they get older, and that inhibited a lot of growth for him. We separated, she filed, and divorce was finalized in 2019. Now I had already started work. I had started back at work during the Navy has what they call respite care, which is them basically sending somebody that's qualified for your autistic child or your disabled child that is qualified to actually watch him, and you're allowed a certain number of hours. And I was back to work. I was working part-time doing what I do, and then when Katie was not deployed, I was pulling night shifts whenever I could while she was at home. And just trying to get back into the workforce before
you got too old.
Never too old. No, just once you've been out of the workforce for a little bit as a stay-at-home parent, nobody really wants to hire you anymore. They figure that you forgot how to add 1 + 1. You supposedly forget the bare basics of actually how to complete tasks, which I never really understood, because when you're a stay-at-home parent, you do everything. Doctor's appointments, play dates, you name it. And it wasn't just that. I was still taking care of all the bills, making sure that everything was paid. I had made the agreement with Katie at that point in time when she joined the Navy that she just focus on her career and I'll take care of everything else. And that was my promise to her.
Likes to do that. In other words, things he really enjoys doing.
Besides playing video games?
Yeah.
I do know that he likes to cook. I know that he does enjoy, he really likes his Legos. He loves building things. He's got several containers of Legos. He likes to do that sort of stuff. He loves to build. He likes to cook. He likes playing video games. He did like doing the heavy equipment. We would go fishing, and touching the fish is kind of icky at times for him. But that goes back to the fact that he doesn't like to have his fingers dirty. He doesn't like his hands dirty. But it just...
You talked about how he likes to cook. What does he like to eat? What's his favorite food?
Well, that has changed throughout time. When he was younger, he didn't like meat. He wouldn't, at all. He liked his vegetables when he was a kid. He liked his oatmeal, vegetables. As he grew older, he got into the chicken nuggets. And then I remember the first time that I got him to try a hamburger. We were in South Georgia, and we were running errands. And he was in the car seat, and he was like, "I'm hungry." And I'm like, "Okay." We went through a Wendy's. We're going to get him, something to drink, something to eat until we got home. And I ordered me a single hamburger, and he literally took my hamburger and ate the whole thing. I was just like, the boy has eaten beef. Wow. His first burger. And after that, he started eating spaghetti and things like that. His favorite food now, he's got a lot of favorite foods. He does like his sushi. Not sushi, but he likes sushi. He likes that soybean stuff. I don't deal with that. Tofu. To me, it has no taste. I'll eat dirt some other time. But he likes it. When we go out to have hibachi and stuff, they'll put tofu in the soup, and he'll eat it there, and it's all fine. When we're at the house, he likes his eggs. One of his favorite places to go eat is either IHOP or Waffle House because they serve breakfast. And he likes his pancakes. He likes his eggs and his bacon. And here at the house, one of the things that he likes to cook and make is we'll take the cheddar brats and we'll cook those for about 45 minutes in the skillet, and then cut them up into pieces, and then we start making our sauce. And that's how he likes his spaghetti. With Parmesan cheese, he likes all cheeses, but when it comes down to his spaghetti, he just loves Parmesan cheese. He doesn't do like shredded sharp cheddar on his spaghetti. He's got to have the Parmesan.
How would you describe him?
Sweet, stubborn. He loves to help. He loves running, and he loves to play his games and his fidgets and Uno. Lord, that's one of his favorite games right now.
He likes machinery. His stepdad works with, he's a crane operator, and Sebastian likes heavy equipment. So when they were living in Hendersonville, they were digging out flowers and stuff, and Chris put him into one of them, and he did a wonderful job. Chris was teaching him how to operate heavy equipment. And they sent me a video of it because I know what picture you're speaking of. And Chris literally turned around and was like, he did a great job. Katie was like, and he didn't damage anything, so it was even better, you know. But Sebastian's always liked to learn new things that interest him. If it doesn't interest him, pulling teeth from a gator. If it interests him, then he's right down the gator's mouth. Like, you know, he's never been one to skirt at learning something new. As long as, again, and with most people, it has to be enjoyable for them, or that you gotta want to learn it. Otherwise, you know, there's no will. Where there's a will, there's a way. And Sebastian is definitely one of those that will trudge the way. It's like when it's him doing Minecraft and telling him that, hey, I need you to do online schooling, you know. And he didn't want to, but I spoke to him, and it's like, it's not permanent. It's just a little setback, not to mention it will open plenty of doors. You like Minecraft and the system that they have up here for their online schooling, it opens up college courses at Austin P, where they teach them how to do data programming and things using Roblox and Minecraft. So it's not like it's going to be a dead, you know, you're sitting at the table all day long, you know. His god brothers in it. He does the online schooling, so he's going to have somebody that was going to be there with him. And I wanted him to get his therapy, so that way he could start correcting his own behavior through therapy and everything else, so he could see where he needed to change. Yes, at the end of this school year, he was supposed to come up here. I'd have him for the summer, and I already have him enrolled in school, because you have to start the process for up here for enrolling in online school at the beginning of the year, because there's such a wait list.
And Katie and Chris were fine with that. Oops, sorry, you okay? And Katie and Chris were on board with this plan.
Yes.
And that was supposed to happen June 1st, the end of May, something
Whenever
like that.
Whenever the school at Beach Academy was over. You know, numbers were his favorite subject for the last, I want to say, 2 or 3 years in California before he came up here. I think, in my opinion, he liked it, but I think it's just, try teaching me math in school nowadays, and I'm going to look at you like I don't know what you're talking about. You know, I know how to do add, subtract, multiply, fractions, so on and so. Some of these things that they're teaching our kids now just does not make sense to me. But I'm not a rocket scientist, so I don't have to worry about that.
Did he have friends he didn't want to leave at his other school?
We really didn't discuss that. One of the things that I've discussed many a times with my son is that no matter how much you don't like change, it's the only thing that is constant in life. Nothing will ever stay the same. You have to be able to adjust. And autistic children don't adjust well. It takes a lot of reinforcement, communication-wise, and get them to see the brighter side of what's going to happen. Normally, once something starts happening that's different from his routine, it takes a minute to adjust. But as soon as he adjusts, because he does, then it's just same old thing. And he becomes adjusted to it, and he excels. You have to have the right type of foundation.
What were his top concern issues, if you will?
Inappropriate discussion and inappropriate behavior. Having the wrong type of discussion, like certain things you don't discuss at the dinner table. Religion, politics, you know, those things that your parents always told you we never discuss at the table. Having inappropriate conversations with people at school. You know, if you want to have a conversation like that, then ask to go speak to your therapist. Ask to speak to, don't have them with the child next to you, because they don't know where you're coming from.
He was on some medication for impulse control for ADHD. He wasn't on anything for his autism, and he had two different types of medication they was taking, and I want to say they just switched it, but I want to say it was like Guafacid or something that he was taking, and then he was taking another medication as well, and I can't remember the name of that, and they just put him on Risperidone, or however you want to pronounce it, try to get him to sleep at night. I didn't have a problem with him sleeping here, so I never really understood that. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but he just turned around and they removed his tonsils because he had obstructive sleep apnea. So they were trying to, get him to quote unquote sleep. But I remember as an infant, my son, and a newborn infant sleeps like 18 hours a day. My son slept maybe 4 hours. He's always been one that does not sleep, that gets, there's just, medication doesn't always solve all the problems. Sometimes I think parents use medication against their kids because they just don't want to deal with it. I only worked part-time until my divorce because I spent most of my time taking care of Sebastian.
What is your theory of what happened to your son, Sebastian? What did Seth say?
He explained to me that Sebastian was routinely taking a sleep aid, and he believes that Sebastian probably wouldn't go to sleep. So his mom, Katie, overdosed him and caused his death. That's what he told me.
Katie and Chris let a child into their house that was 5 years older than my son. My son was 7 or 8 at the time, and this kid was 13. And she has a habit of not checking on her kid. I would never let some kid that's 5 years older than my son play with my son anyways. It's like, why do you want to play with my son? There's a 5-year difference. That's a pretty big difference. You're 13, and my son, you're a teenager. My son is not a teenager. He's still playing with Hot Wheels and Legos, and he's building things. He's playing video games, and you're a teenager. You go out and you have your own, age appropriate group that you play with, and they were letting this kid play with my son, and they weren't checking on him. And then this kid took my son's innocence and he molested him, and there was nothing I could do in California because the kid was 13. But they let that happen, and they didn't bother to try to even get my son help until last year. Here, my son is just turned 15 in December. It means he's been dealing with an emotional, stressful, traumatic incident for the last 7 years. And I've been trying to help him. I've been trying to get him help. Going to talk to his doctor and telling them what happened. And for the doctor to tell me, she was like, I knew none of this stuff. And I'm like, really? Because he's supposed to be seeing a therapist for this. And she's like, well, he's not seeing the right type of therapist for this type of trauma. And there's just no justification for the actions that I have seen from them. They're not parents. They're not parents at all. And I want to know what happened to my son.
Like, he'd go to bed with socks on, and when he woke up, he'd be barefoot. Socks are like rolled up underneath a pillow, underneath a blanket, on the other side of the bed. You know, on an average, he would leave, and I would pull his bed out, and I'd find, 4.5 socks on the other side of the bed, between the bed and the wall. And I'm like, that's why you have no matching pairs of socks. They're all over here. I've washed all the other matching pair, but all the ones that are matching, the ones that are clean, are dirty, and they're stuck between the bed and the wall.
What size of shoe did he wear?
The pair of boots that I bought him were size 10.5.
I just don't know if anybody has asked this question, and I think it's an important one. If Katie knows how many socks he has, are all the socks there? And I do think that's an important question, because a lot of people...
I'll let you know, at my house, I can't tell you how many pairs of socks he has, because if you get a hole in a pair of socks, I throw that one away, and then you get a hole in another pair, and I'll make sure that one's ripped up. And I couldn't even tell you how many pairs of socks I have. Now I can tell you how many pairs of Naruto socks he has, and his ninja socks, because they're the ones that come clear up to your knee, and they come in packs of 5. So he's got like 10 of those.
And that's at your house. But I'm just wondering if anybody has asked Katie to do an inventory of socks, if she might know. It's possible. I'm just saying, because he lived there, that would lend itself more that he could have left if he put socks on. I think that's an important distinction between being barefoot and having socks on.
Most of the time when he was around me, if he didn't like your attitude when you approached me, that he was confrontational, as in, that's my daddy, I will mess you up, all 4 feet of him at that point in time. But he's always been very protective of both me and his mom.
Very curious about this. And one more thing, while it's on my mind, does he have social media, Seth?
No, he does not.
Okay, good. I can rule that out, or at least we don't think he does. Does he have a cell phone?
He does have a cell phone.
Where's the cell phone?
At his mom and stepfather's.
So he didn't take his cell phone. Seth, is he like every other boy in America glued to his cell phone? Does
When
he love
he
his
has
cell
access
phone?
to it, he loves
What do you
it.
mean by that?
When he has access to YouTube and stuff like that, he is glued to his phone, because he likes to watch videos about Minecraft. He likes to watch videos of people playing Minecraft.
Okay, you do know that is social media, because people can talk to each other on Minecraft. Did you know that?
No,
I didn't know that. I found
what
out.
I'm talking about is the videos. He watches videos of people playing it on YouTube.
Does he play it?
I think he has it for his Switch at his mom's house, but he does not.
Yeah.
And he's glued to that all
Okay.
the time.
We need a forensic search of that phone pronto, Seth, because I find it very curious if he went voluntarily, that he didn't take the phone with him.
Most of the time, I've seen the phone plugged in on the counter on the little bar in their kitchen.
What?
As he has gotten older, having conversations with him about, when you're online, these people, you don't know these people. You don't talk to them. You don't tell them any information, to the point that he just didn't even put the headphones on anymore. Most of the time, it's like he would have the headphones on and he's playing. Yeah, I know that his mom and stepfather don't like it, but he would play Modern Warfare. It's you got 4 people in a team trying to work for a progressive goal. That's how you build teamwork. It's how you build listening functions and commands and things of that sort, where you can follow directions and you can work together with a group that you have no idea. And most of the time on my PlayStation. You know, the people that are on there are my personal friends that I actually know. One of them would be Chris, his stepfather, and the other one is my buddy up in Illinois. And, you know, that was it. And I remember a conversation, he was just like, Dad, these people just don't listen. I'm telling them, you know, I'm dead here on the ground, and the guy's coming around the building, and they're not listening, and they run around the building, and they get shot. And I was like, and I looked at him, I said, well, son, that's why when I play the game, I have the volume off, and I don't listen to him. And he was like, oh. And I was like, you don't see me getting angry and aggravated either, right? He was like, no. And I was like, because I know I may have 3 other teammates, but I also know that they're either going to listen or they're not going to listen, and it's not going to affect my day. I'm here to play the game and have fun playing the game. And
so, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Seth.
Go ahead.
Sebastian was going to school. Whole point of him finishing his first year was he was supposed to come live with me. We were supposed to do a swap where she would have him every other weekend, and he would be living with me, going to school. And if she wanted him on his breaks, then she would be able to have him on the breaks. If not, then he would stay with me. I mean, I wanted full custody of my son since the divorce, but I don't believe it's my right to take a child's mother away. You know, that's something that the child would debate or would decide at a later point in time. I found out after my son disappeared that he was scared of his stepfather. I mean, I've seen some of the podcasts where he has used the belt. I mean, if you think about if I've been to the school, I've talked to the principal, I've talked to his teachers, I've talked to the SRO, and everybody is like, he's a wonderful kid. You know, he's always happy here. He always wants to make sure, as the SRO told me, he saw him every day. And the SRO was like, it was the same thing every day with him. He would stop the SRO and be like, how many tickets are you going to give the teacher today? You know, and
it's funny.
He needs to know that there are people in here, and I wish he would have told me. I wish he would have told me what was going on, because I wouldn't have let him go back there. That should have never happened underneath their watch to begin with. That's why Chris doesn't want my son around his daughter, because he's scared that my son is going to do the same thing that was done to him under his watch. And Chris Proudfoot, if you're listening to this, you can't hold that over my head. I told you. You're going to piss me the fuck off, and I don't give a fuck who knows. It's your fault. It's your and your wife's fault. You guys don't deserve to be around kids.
No, I was just going to ask, you made a comment early on, very early at the very beginning. And you said words to the effect, if I knew a week after, if I knew what I know now, but knew it a week after, he would be here in the kitchen and I'd be teaching him how to cook again.
What I said was the information I learned a week after he went missing. If I had known it a week before he went missing, he would have never been missing. He would have been at my house.
I see. He would have been with you because you felt
hindsight's 2020.
Right. You felt like
the information that I learned shortly after he went missing. If I had known that information before, I could have been preemptive about it, and I wouldn't be looking for him.
Officials say there have been absolutely no signs of foul play and really no signs of Sebastian Rogers at all. No confirmed sightings of him on any surveillance camera or doorbell camera, and first responders haven't found any evidence in the woods or water or even his home, which they say they have searched 10 times. Now today they focused on bodies of water around the area because they say Sebastian is drawn to water. Investigators are also asking the community to search their properties and do so in pairs so they don't have to use resources to confirm a person walking around alone isn't Sebastian. People in the community say they've all been impacted by this situation. They add students at Sebastian's school are also worried. Even strangers who live nearby say the situation has kept them up at night, especially because of the terrain here.
I see it's so many woods and so much water here. In Hendersonville, it's so much water and so many woods. From like Glenbrook on, it's solid woods, and you're like, there's so many places. And then we passed by T.W. Hunter up here, and they had the new drain ditches laying out there. I thought, oh God, wonder if they searched them, you know? Wonder if they looked in there to see if maybe he was in one of them trying to stay warm, get the wind off of him. It's just too many places he could be, and it's scary.
Now, the one thing investigators did say they found were tracks leading away from Sebastian's home, but they say that lead fell up short. Now,
still out there. So while crews are out searching, they were in here praying for him to be found. Through tears,
And Father, I pray life over Sebastian.
dozens of people sat pleading for the safety of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers.
Some of Sebastian's friends and people who are his age have joined us.
He's a 15-year-old boy city, county, and state officials have spent more than 3 days looking for. They say he wandered out of his Shackle Island home Sunday night and hasn't been seen since.
What law enforcement has told us is that with a lot of people searching, since they have so many specialty people and law enforcement people, that when the general public gets out there, we can cover up tracks, we can cover up scents.
So to fight against the feeling of helplessness, Tom Hayden, lead pastor of Northfield Church, helped organize this event.
We believe in the power of prayer, and so we're calling on people in our community to come together and unite in what we can do.
Sumner County Mayor John Isabel.
They ask me, what can I do? And I tell them that the most important thing you can do right now is pray.
And a representative of the mayor of Gallatin and Hendersonville,
how helpless so many of us felt,
also took the stage to pray.
We want to do what the church does best.
So while crews search into yet another day, people say they aren't just checking their cameras and searching their yards, they're emotionally and fearfully praying for answers.
We beg that you would rescue Sebastian.
Friends and neighbors say they won't stop praying until Sebastian is home safe.
If you have any information about the disappearance or the whereabouts of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, contact the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Special Agent Bobby Simmons, 1-800-TBI-FIND, or the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, Detective B. Carter, 615-415-3838. Be sure to check out my other videos and playlists for more true crime content. And if that's not enough, you can join our Patreon. Don't have a tinfoil hat? It's okay. We'll make you one. It's that easy. See you guys in the next video.
See you later. Bye.